Hi, so this is the first episode of Emily's Art Chat, the first in a little mini series. And today we've got the incredible Sam Morris, famous for her cow paintings, but just an inspiring human being and artist all round. We talk about how she came to her career. She's been a professional artist for 10 years. Then we talk about how her career has evolved over those 10 years, and kind of all her advice and just her experiences. So it's an incredible conversation. I really enjoyed it. I could have talked to her all night, and I hope you enjoy it too. So let's dive in.
Evening.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, you?
Yes, I'm really good. Are you in your cow shed still?
I am, yeah. I've just got back here this evening, so I thought I'd quickly run down the cowshed and at least give you a bit of a working backdrop rather than a comfy at home backdrop.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I love seeing everyone's little spaces. I'm in my
Yeah,
I'm in my little art room,
yes,
spare
yeah.
bedroom. How are you? What were you doing today?
Oh,
Teaching?
the day started with teaching. So I had a private student, one-to-one online Zoom lesson, painting her dog for most of the day. And this has come about because of COVID, and lots of workshops past 2 years have been cancelled. And the way I've got through everybody has been either to rebook them onto other workshops or refund them or create these one-to-one experiences. And that's what we're still doing today, even after everybody being open and restrictions easing. It's all going to take a bit of time to catch up with that backlog of people that we have.
I know, and I know like people like my mum, what does she do? She does like Pilates or something on, and they changed it to Zoom, and now she doesn't want to go back. She wants to keep doing it on Zoom. So there's going to be
I
like
know.
difficult people that are just like, no, I like doing it online.
Yeah, yeah. And so you've now got this really crazy world where everybody's diary is in a state of constant flux because we're all tweaking and changing every aspect of it continuously. And so it's not a case of you book a workshop on a certain weekend and you invite 10, 15 people to your workshop. It's a kind of, well, I need to save X amount for a contingency of people who have tried to book before. I need to book a little contingency of people who might just turn up because they've got confused over dates. And all of that is going on. So nothing's straightforward at the moment.
So you've got to be flexible.
Definitely. Always have a contingency up your sleeve, no matter how creative.
Well, you're a very clever lady. I think you're quite a good businesswoman, aren't you? So I think you're quite good at thinking on your feet.
Oh, I like thinking on my feet, and thank you for saying that because I love doing
That's how you
that.
come across.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. But oh my gosh, it's exhausting. Having to do it in lots of different ways. And it's not just me, it's everybody. Everybody's going through this at the moment. So it's a case of, what you thought your business was is probably quite a different animal now. And in some ways that's really challenging. In many ways it's really exciting because it's made you step up, it's made you face some challenges, it's made you say no to things that you just don't want to do anymore, you
Yeah.
know
Yes, I think
so,
people have enjoyed doing that. So
oh,
just for people that like don't know you, or actually for me as well, like what's kind of like your art history, your history of art? Were you creative as like a child? I'm guessing you probably were.
I certainly loved painting and drawing as a child and art. a young age, it would be somewhere that I would go to find sanctuary, really.
Mm.
Life was pretty chaotic as a kid. Mum was a alcoholic and led a very drama filled life, and it kind of meant that you lived on your wits for a lot of the time, and art was a real peaceful place to be. It was a real sort of, I guess it's a bit like people who love reading, who can get lost in different worlds. For me, art was a world I could get lost in, you know.
It's very
And
peaceful, isn't it?
definitely, definitely. And if you can sort of find your flow and learn how to tune the external influences out, then I think that's a really good skill to learn. And it just so happened, because of the circumstances I was brought up in, I learned that skill really early on. So it's nothing I would put people through, but I'm grateful for having almost that experience
Yeah,
early
because
on.
if they were parents that were taking you off to loads of different clubs, maybe you wouldn't have drawn if you were going off to
Maybe not.
karate and this and that. So
I know, I know. So,
so were they
so yes,
creative though? Were either of your parents creative?
um, I don't have much memory of my mum. I've got this vague idea that she used to love to write. My dad is a really good technical drawer, and recently he's joined me on a few of my online 6-week courses
Mm.
for painters,
No
and
way.
yeah, that's been brilliant to see. So so I definitely think it comes from them. And my dad's cousin Barbara, we have the same handwriting. And that's really weird when you spot your handwriting, but somebody else has written it. And
That's weird.
I, I don't know where that comes from. Obviously, it's some genetics going on
Handy for
there.
writing checks. Is she wealthy?
I'll have to find out.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, that's amazing, isn't it? You've inherited
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think people always comment on my handwriting, and I always think of Barbara's handwriting as being the best handwriting, but I also recognize my handwriting style in hers as well. And, you know, we probably didn't meet for many, many, many years. So it's really strange how we've both developed a similar style. And I think painting is very much like handwriting. It's how you hold your body. It's a physiological thing. It's how you breathe. It's how excited you are, how nervous you are. It's how you express yourself and let the pen flow. And we must do that in some
Yeah,
way.
that's so
Another.
interesting. I bet that there are handwriting analysis
Oh yeah, yeah,
people.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
should
really
maybe
interesting.
check that out.
And but you didn't go into a did you study art at all?
Well, so I I kind of ran away from my mum age 13, and my dad got me into school for the first time properly age 13, and school was just brilliant.
No way.
Because it was stuff to learn, and I think because that hadn't always been at my fingertips so readily or so easily, um it was something I just really utterly enjoyed. And my dad and my art teacher at secondary school encouraged me to follow art. I was ready to be a hairdresser. I had a Saturday job as a hairdresser. I was a very proud Saturday assistant, and it felt creative and what I wanted to do. But I think my art teacher had a word with my dad to say, no, she needs to pursue art. So I did, and I went on to do an art foundation. I went on to study art for the theatre industry and specialised in costume. But then at that point, I thought, well, how do you get a job in this? How do you have a sustainable career in this? And I couldn't figure it out back then. So I
So what age
conformed.
was that? Kind of 17 or something like
Oh
that?
no, that's got to be about like early 20s.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, I've got to conform and get a proper job, and a job that pays the bills and things like that. And that's what I did for
Do you
many
think,
years.
were you after kind of safety and security, do you think?
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
So, and of course, because safety and security hadn't been there in the early years, you start to realize that's a value that's really important to you. And if it's a bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you haven't got that sense of safety for yourself, you're not going to be able to develop into eventually self actualization. So I was a long way from fulfilling myself as being an artist, expressing myself as being an
So
artist.
do you think actually in hindsight it was a good thing because you needed that kind of foundation?
Definitely.
Uh,
And I ended up working in all sorts of interesting places and doing jobs I never thought I would ever be entertained for. And I had experiences that, you know, my grandma would be proud of. Um, I worked for a long time for the third sector, a long time with the Prince's Trust, helping young people set up in business. And I met a lot of business mentors. And I think through osmosis, I learnt a lot about business through those people and through the clients they were supporting. And so when it finally came time for me to be an artist, I'd kind of served my business apprentice
that's
through the Prince's.
handy. How the universe works.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's
And
how I met you, or I'd already heard of you through going to like shows and things like country fairs, but that's how I kind of got your name and recommendation. It was through Bob Train at the
yeah,
Princess Trust.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's what brought us together as well.
yeah, that's it. And you know, I still see clients from Prince's Trust and mentors from Prince's Trust. So it was a real pivotal moment in my personal and professional career. Professionally, it took me places that I could have never have dreamed of in terms of the people I met, the meetings I would go to and be valued as somebody who's contributing to a certain executive strategy. You know, I'd be in places where I'd be like, oh my God, do they know where I've come from? And, you know, but that was kind of it was kind of part entertainment and part challenge to me that I could get away with doing that. And then it just got to the point where it was either the next promotion. I'd moved on from the Prince's Trust and I'd worked for Mencat Royal Society, and I worked for a children's literacy charity as a director called um, Beanstalk, where we would go into schools and we'd identify young people who were at risk of exclusion. And of course, this is very near and dear to me because I know how important school is and how important learning is. And we would match these young people with volunteers who would go in 3 times a week and read to them or read with them.
Hmm.
And you know how powerful literature is to open up your world, to feed your imagination, to feed your creativity. So important. So I really loved that job as well. But it was getting to the point where I was traveling from Gloucestershire to London regularly. It was very expensive, not only in terms of money, but time and energy was absolutely spent on commuting, and it wasn't
Mm.
healthy.
I know.
And it was maybe at a time where this, you know, Zoom
Yeah.
and online,
Yeah.
just it wasn't quite there yet. I think Skype was the best thing and it would cut out, and it was pretty crap, to be honest. And you wouldn't be able to build those relationships with the team that you were trying to lead. it was best that you were there in front of them. So it was kind of a decision of, do I commit to that and go there, or do I commit to something totally different? And
And
yeah.
had you been painting in the background? Like, is that something you'd been doing?
No, I'd left art and left painting for many, many years, feeling quite a bit of a failure actually, as in, I guess I held the badge that I was good at art from teachers and
Yeah.
college and things like that. And because I didn't do anything with it, I felt like a bit of a failure. And
Oh.
so shame is a terrible thing because shame makes you hide things. So I hid my creativity, totally hid it. It
Mm.
probably seeped out in how I was dressing or how I'd
Yeah.
present or the work I was doing or how I was writing, things like that. But yeah, it was like a shameful secret that actually I was an artist. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, that's unbelievable, isn't it? What's going on in people's minds that you don't know about when you meet them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So how
So,
did the painting come about then?
well, my friend had a special birthday coming up, a 30th that had a zero in it. And I didn't want to buy stuff. I was getting to the point where I just didn't want to spend money on tat and stuff and clutter. And I was trying to think of what really meaningful thing I could do for her or give her. And she had a very special cow called Vanessa. And so Lucinda was my friend, is my friend, and she lived over the road at the farm, and Vanessa lived in the barn. And very often I would see Lucinda come and sit on the grass in front of the farmhouse, and Vanessa would trot out of the barn, go and sit next to her and put her head in Lucinda's lap.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm sat opposite on my bench in front of my house, and I'm seeing this go on a regular basis in lots of different ways. And it was just seeing this lovely connection. So I thought, I know, I'll paint Vanessa. And I managed to talk her boyfriend, who's now her husband, into helping me sneak around the farm to take photos. And then he'd come and see the painting in progress. And he's a very direct chap. He was like, "Oh God, that's awful, Sam."
No, he didn't
you
say
know,
that, did he?
it was just, how a painting has an ugly stage. Every
Yes.
painting has an ugly
Yes.
stage. And it's just got to go through that stage
Oh,
before
so
you
you were
make
confident in the process that, like, hang on, you're judging this before it's ready. Oh, you weren't.
no,
Oh no,
no,
you're lucky you didn't throw it
no,
in the bin.
no. I knew that if I kept working at it, I'd figure it out, but
Yeah.
I didn't have a method, I didn't have a process, I didn't know what my art style was, I didn't know my art language, I didn't know my materials. I was properly winging it.
Oh, thank God
And
that didn't crush you.
and then New Year's Eve is Lucinda's birthday, so she was having a party at the farmhouse, and I nearly wimped out of giving it to her because there was just too many people in the room. And my friends were like, no, 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 go on, do it, give it to her. So I gave it to her. She unwrapped it. She cried. The emotion was high. And in that moment, when you know you've created something for somebody that's special, and they understand that, you realize that that animal is special, that is very powerful. What your gift as an artist is that you've seen that person and they feel seen. And as humans, we desire to be seen. And
Mm.
I think looking back, I can see this in hindsight now. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, that's what happened. I recognized that I saw Lucinda and I saw what she loved and I reflected it back to her. And that feeling it becomes addictive as an artist. You want to do that again and again and again. It's like your party trick, and you want to make all of these people happy by showing them who they really are, whether it's through their family, through their pet dog, through their pet donkey, whatever it is you paint. That's how you can show people. Yeah.
Do you want to know something incredible? We've never had this conversation before, and I didn't know what made you start doing art, but my story is pretty much identical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
so
on.
it was my sister-in-law's, it was her birthday, and I didn't
Yeah.
have a present for her, and I had no idea what to buy. Yeah, I don't like buying kind of just junk clutter and things. So I thought I'll try and draw the dog. I was good at drawing at school. I didn't do it through college, but I thought I'll try and draw it. She had a sausage dog. And so I thought I'll try and draw it. And then I finished this drawing. It was only pencil. And I thought, oh my God, that's quite good. Anyway, so I wrapped it up, gave it to her, and she cried. And it was at a barbecue. And then a couple of people that were at the barbecue were like, wow, will you do one for me? And that's just basically how it started. So that's unbelievable.
It is. That's how it starts for most people, I think. I think you identify one person who, in that moment, in that chapter of life, you can see and you know what's special to them. And I think if you just take that moment and run with it with your art, what you're doing is expressing yourself and letting them be expressed. You're almost giving them like permission to be seen. And it's very, very powerful. And I think when we first do it, we don't realize that's what we're doing. It's only as I've sort of I keep I'm not kidding. At the side of me, I've got like a mountain of journals and diaries, and I write like I'll write my thoughts on a particular subject, and I've thought long and hard about why art is important, and I've probably had really tough conversations with very dear friends who don't value art in this world at all, even though it's part of their everyday existence. They don't acknowledge how important art is. And these people are probably, scientists, engineers, they're regarded in society as being very important, very influential, very useful people, and therefore should be held on a pedestal. So creatives kind of get pushed aside as not being necessary.
Yeah.
And I remember one friend saying to me, if we were stuck on an island, you're an artist, I'm an engineer, who would they save? And that's horrible.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible, but but that will stay with me, and I'll write on it, and subconsciously and consciously I'll gather evidence, fact, and I'll shore up my side.
Yeah,
of
you're
the
fighting for us, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly, because it's been far, far, far too long, in generations, and probably since the birth of mankind, that art has been devalued in this way, and yet creativity is going to get us ahead in the next few years to come. So my argument now to friends who would bring that discussion back would be something along the lines of discussing an engineer is a mighty fine specimen, but imagine a creative engineer and how supreme that would be.
And that's probably when you get inventors.
Exactly. If those two worlds can come together, then you've got like something that has got fission. Yes. Yeah. But in the moment when they first pick on me and mention this, I'm just like, oh, damn, I've got nothing to say, but it'll stick with me. Yeah.
You're a thinker like me. Yeah, I'm not good at arguing back, but then I go
No.
home and I think about it, and then I think of
Yeah.
all the good answers afterwards.
Yeah, I'll be knocking on their door in
Yeah.
5 years' time going, oi, about that conversation at that barbecue.
Right, so what have you learned over your art career? So how long has your art career kind of spanned now?
So I'm heading into year 10 of trading.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. And I feel
yeah.
like, because I've had a little look at I just had a look at your website and things recently, because I hadn't looked at it for a while. And I feel like it's shifted quite a lot from what it used to be when you first started out. You were very much
Oh, definitely.
trade stands, weren't you? You were going to the big shows, and that's where I remember seeing you. And I had big eyes in your shop, and there was just beautiful products everywhere.
Mm,
And I feel like you've kind of completely kind of changed now. What would you?
definitely. I think every year um, you should look at what you don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
And I've I've always said to myself, every year needs to be an adventure. And what adventure do I want to go on this year? And so the very first year of being a full-time artist, so I've been a full-time artist for 7 years. I've been trading for nearly 10. So for 3 years, I shuttled to and fro London, and I would paint in the evenings and at weekends and do shows at the weekends until year 3 came along, and I'd brought as much equipment as I could with a nice fine salary. I'd booked
Mm.
ahead 30 shows,
Wow.
30 trade shows in 1 year. And that was my launch pad for being a
Yeah.
full-time artist.
You really
And that's probably,
springboarded off of your career. That's
yeah. So that's probably where you saw me in that moment of trade shows for that whole year, which, you know, to anybody, but from a marketing perspective, it was also brilliant. It built my audience, and many of those people, those supporters, those customers are still with me today.
so yeah, so even that was valuable, even though you've kind of changed. So would you say, oh, is that going a bit
Oh,
funny?
it might be. It might be. I've still got you.
Yeah. So describe kind of how it's changed and now what your business is kind of today.
So to begin with, it was very much paint a cow, sell a cow, paint a cow, sell a cow, paint a cow, sell a cow. And to begin with, that's amazing. You think, oh my God, somebody wants to give me cash for something I've put on a canvas. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
just
which
want to
is
do that.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get to a point which, when you first start, you don't believe you'll get to this point, but you do get to a point where you think, oh my God, that's exhausting. And you start to think a bit more commercially about, how do I scale this so I'm not churning work out, paint a cow, paint a cow. And I just went through various years of picking one business stream and focusing on that one business stream. So 1 year it was trade shows, another year it was products, another year it was retailers, another year it was vlogging, building, social media. So I'd have different themes for each year, and I would go all into that theme that particular year. And I guess what you're seeing now in the business is that, if you can imagine the business is like a graphic equalizer, and you've lots of knobs on it, and those knobs are commissions, retail, workshops, wholesale, originals, and so on. So if you think of those different knobs as different income streams, and those different income streams have different pros and cons, There's no one perfect income stream for an artist, because you're not one same person all of the time. You as a person, you have different seasons, different peaks and troughs of energy. You have different opportunities externally that are brought to you. So what you need to do is build up this like board of knobs that you can turn up and down dependent on what's going on in your life. So for example, coronavirus hits, workshops all the way down, commissions all the way up, online teaching all the way up, retail all the way down. Now it's back the other way, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to support my business if I hadn't have created those, for want of a better word, different knobs.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. That's a really good analogy, I think. Being able to, and they are all fluid. You can adjust them as you see fit, or if you're just not enjoying one, turn it down until you get to a lower level where you are enjoying it again.
Definitely. And there's certain income streams that will really suit you and your personality, and other income streams that don't suit you at all. And you've got to be really honest with yourself as to what works for you personally. And that can change as well. You know, your attitude changes as you develop in business. So I remember thinking success was having products in lots of shops and being represented by a wholesale agent. And I very, very quickly learned that that's actually a race to zero, because you're dealing with a lot of stock inventory, which is a nightmare. The profit margins are minimal. The effort in terms of marketing is massive. And then you become head of dispatch, head of inventory, head of chasing invoices from retailers that haven't paid you. And suddenly it's a whole admin job that you never ever signed up to. And so sometimes you've got to try income streams on for size and work out if the pros and cons suit you. And what will suit you, Emily, might not suit me. The matrix for both of us is very different, I would imagine.
Yeah, because some artists would push through that and then hire someone, wouldn't they? They'd love the products enough to push through, get a warehouse, get this, get someone to, and they would just push through that. But if you're not kind of loving it, if you're not passionate about it, then you move on to something you're more passionate about.
Yeah, and you can push through to, delegate these different jobs that you don't like, but you've got to be really honest about what you define as success. And for me, success was definitely not managing a team, definitely not hiring other people. I wanted to be in control. So that's probably a safety value I've got from very early on. I wanted to be in control of my own business. I didn't want an external warehouse telling me, that there's a problem with a product line that I couldn't fulfill, and it meant a certain fine to a certain supplier. And those sorts of things don't interest me at all, but I can understand how they interest other people, how that level of, I guess, distribution is deemed as a successful descriptor for some people. And it just wasn't for me. It wasn't where I was finding great joy in my work. So I whittled a big list of retailers down to 3, and those 3 retailers are run by people I love having a coffee with.
Yes. Yeah,
so
that's nice.
Suddenly it becomes less of a work task to do, to check on stock with them or check on any broken items or whatever. It becomes a sociable friendly, connective thing to do. And
Mm.
I think connection, for me, is weaved in through everything that has developed since.
And if you care about those three people, no doubt they care about you. So it's you've got trust in them, and it's like a two-way thing, isn't it? That you know that they're kind of gonna be honest, and you've selected them because they're good business people.
Totally. I remember a gallery getting in touch and wanting to stock all of the cow items. And I was my ego was so stoked, so blown up by the gallery wanting to take me on. And I invested a lot of stock to set up their point of sale for them.
Oh no.
And they took the items and they scraped and scratched all of my branding labels off, so people wouldn't look at that and then go to my website, which for me is really short-sighted. And that was a quick, sharp lesson of, oh my gosh, I don't like how you operate.
No, I don't like, no, that's, yeah. And also they should have had a conversation with you about that, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
been that would have been perfectly acceptable if you'd both agreed that that was okay. Like, yeah, okay, take them off. You don't, that's not
Totally.
your policy.
Whereas
Ooh.
now the three retailers that I work with, when they sell something significant, they get on the phone and they speak to me with so much pride that they've sold something significant. It feels like it's theirs. And I love that they're as proud as I am of what we do. Whereas the gallery who I kind of went for, I guess, from an ego point of view, it just felt really wrong. So I pulled back really quickly on that. And I thought, I'm not repeating that again.
I think it's so important in life just to surround yourself with people that you like, isn't it? Like that you have a connection with and that you enjoy their energy. It's just, you shouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think our society believes, or did believe, it might be changing now, but it believes that a successful artist is an artist who is, selling in John Lewis and, high street shop. And the world changing now to have more of an independent focus. And the high street shops are really, really struggling now because of the way they operate their business. So I'm really glad I didn't go down that path.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, have I
Yeah.
lost you?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You
Yeah,
froze
the audio's been okay the entire time. So just one thing that was really caught my eye on your website was the gallery hire that you have.
Yeah.
What is that and where is it?
So during lockdown, I took on a space which has a very small gallery, a very small studio in the back, and a apartment above. And I turned the whole place into an Airbnb experience for artists. So artists or creatives can stay, they can make, and they can sell.
This is incredible.
Yeah. So during lockdown, I did the refurb and just worked on that. And then I split it out into, and this is me experimenting with different income streams. I split it out into Airbnb apartment only and rent studio only, rather than the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because as we go through this coming out of lockdown transition, the whole thing is maybe too much of a big idea for people at the moment, thinking about traveling and exhibiting. That isn't their home patch. I think people more to stay home and exercise local opportunities at the moment. So the Airbnb is booked out till Christmas, so that's really good, and it's decorated by lots of local artists and craftspeople and recycled, upcycled furniture. It looks like a kind of place that you would love to live in, but you would never decorate your house like that because it's just too expressive. It's too out there.
Oh, well, that's
but
perfect
it's
for a
okay.
holiday though, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely.
And so is it booked out till Christmas with the gallery as well? As like one thing? No.
So I split it out.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I let the Airbnb go first of all, because I finished that as a project first of all. So I thought, well, while I'm refurbing downstairs, upstairs can be earning its income. But little did I know how popular that would be, and it booked itself up ahead. So I've got a artist who's staying and exhibiting in September, another artist staying and exhibiting in October, and then that's it. I don't have any more room for anybody else to stay. So we're looking at what we do for 2022.
Where is it?
So in Tewkesbury, just by the cross, there's the main high street, and then the second street off the high street is Barton Street, and it's just there by the cross.
That is such a good idea. I'm gonna hire it.
You should.
Yeah, but people could do it internationally as well, because I've got a lot of American friends. I did a course which was online, hosted by an American girl, and so most of the people in the course were American. But I bet they wouldn't mind doing it, if it was their, I don't know, but I just think it's such a good idea.
I think once the world is up and traveling again, certainly that's the way forward.
And also,
I think
like with my life as well, like, so I'm doing the art daily, but I have like the dog to do, I've got a horse, I've got to do her twice a day, especially in the winter. I have to go and do her twice a day, then I have to do this, then someone's at the door. Whereas if I was at the gallery, I would have none of that. Someone else would have to deal with all that. I wouldn't have to cook tea. I could just take a box of cereal and that would be it.
Yes. Living the dream. No, I learned when I did an oil diploma over at Norfolk Painting School a few years ago, and that was 9 months long, and it was 3 days every month. And what would happen is I would travel to Norfolk, stay in Norfolk in a beautiful apartment. I would go to school, paint, come back, eat, sleep, go to school, paint, eat, sleep. And I would do this for 3 days. It was total immersion. And that's what we can't do when we're at home and we've got our obligations, our responsibilities, our to-do lists. They always supersede what we need to do for us as our own self, because we feel that when we address our own self, we're being selfish, and it's not the case. We need to top our own reserves up first, so we are that better person to everybody else when they come across us. Otherwise they get a bit of a short, sharp shrift off us, and not the best version of us. So it's in everybody's interest to send themselves away and immerse themselves in something that's important to them, whether you're a writer, whether you're a painter, whether you're a musician. That displacement is key to it fast tracks your development as you take your development seriously. And in this case, we take our art professionally seriously, so that development and that time investment is super important. So if we can fast track that, we need to displace ourselves and immerse ourselves.
Oh, that is so interesting. You're so clever. So I think we better wrap up, even though I feel like I can talk to you forever. But so I've got 3 questions, and I feel like this might be a thing, and I might ask everyone the same 3 questions
Okay.
to finish. Oh, just before I ask them, have you got courses to book onto if people want to learn how to draw a cow?
Yeah,
Oh, and
yeah.
actually, I've got something.
What?
I got something to show you.
Oh, that feels like so long ago.
I think it was about 4 years ago. So this is from a workshop that I did with Sam, and I still use the techniques, and I haven't really learned them anywhere else. I mean, you learn about kind of glazing and things, but I just didn't learn it. You just taught it so well. I did this in a day, and it's just like Sam's, and I love it. So anyway, so yeah, I still use your techniques. And I thought you'd enjoy that. But yeah, so are you doing courses that people can book onto?
Yeah, the first workshop starts this Sunday, and it's fully booked, which is really exciting. There's more dates on the website. Don't ask me to list the dates because I can never remember them. But there's how to paint a cow, how to paint your dog, how to paint a giraffe. Christmas Eve, we've got an online special, and that's how to paint a donkey. And there's over 100 people joining me on Christmas Eve to do that. So yeah, lots going on.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, perfect. Okay, so do you listen to anything while you paint? And what's your favorite thing to listen to?
Oh gosh, it could be an audio book, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be I think my preference is to learn something while I'm painting. However, sometimes I just need gentle noise, and I've learned that my active, busy monkey brain needs noise to be distracted by. So my creative brain can come forward and stand proud in the moment I need it and get on with the day of painting. So I've got to distract that monkey with a bit of, it could be a film playing in the background that I've played 20 times, but as long as it's distracted, that allows the creative brain to come forward.
This is such a relief to have someone say the same as me. If I don't have the radio on, I kind of talk to myself. I'm muttering away to myself. Like, I don't know what I'm even saying. I'm talking about like tasks I need to do or conversations I need to have. But the second I put the radio on, I can just create. It's like, oh, thank God. Like my brain isn't going. So that's amazing news. Yeah, and I like kind of podcasts, kind of educational things. I do listen to a bit of music, but it has to be chilled music, not too.
Yeah, I think the only time I listen to music is maybe in the gallery. So every Wednesday I head over to the gallery, and I'm trying to get into routine of always being there on a Wednesday. And sometimes I'll stick on like chill out music or jazz coffee shop music, that sort of chinky chanky music. Again, it's to distract the brain so I can get busy doing what I'm doing. But today I was teaching via Zoom from there, so no music today. It was just talking and painting.
Oh, I bet you're exhausted teaching all day. Okay, have you got who's your favorite artist at the moment? Have you got like a Instagram crush that you love their work?
Oh gosh, I really love Stanka Kordic. She's a fine art painter, portrait, figurative painter, and she's in this book called Disrupted Realism. And I'm really fascinated with how we can paint something that looks real, but then abstract it so it looks even more real. And I like bringing those two styles together. So commercially, I'm known for painting cows,
Yeah.
and that's a successful part of the business. Um, but my professional development is ongoing, and I've learned how to paint in all sorts of ways with different methods. And I'm looking at fine art being my next step. And in September, I'm off to the University of Worcester to do a fine art degree and psychology degree. So going to bring those worlds together. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh, you're so
it,
busy.
it it might be that sort of work starts to come through a little bit more, but the cows will always be there. They're kind of like my mascot. And you
Yes.
know, sometimes I'll have a moment where I think, oh, I should have picked something more glamorous than cows. But actually, it's taken me on wonderful adventures that I could have never have dreamt of. And it's got me to this point heading into year 10. So I'm utterly grateful for them, and they'll never not be part of me. It's
Oh,
just, I know I need to, as we all do, we need to develop.
yeah.
So the gallery in town has my other work. The cows are not allowed in the gallery. The
Oh,
cows stay in the studio, and they stay in the retail environment, but they don't go to the gallery. So I almost have two different lives on the go at the moment.
oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Oh, I'm going to come and visit you on a
Yeah.
Wednesday. You shouldn't have told me that.
Yes. Do.
Um, okay, and so just the last question, what advice would you give yourself when you were first starting out?
I don't think I would listen. I don't. I think whatever you've got to go through, you've got to go through. And when you look back in hindsight over the years and over the different experiences and the learnings, even the trickiest times, the challenging times, they still shape you as an artist, as a person, as a voice to express something. So I wouldn't negate any of that. I really wouldn't. I guess just to say that whatever's in front of you is always better than what's behind you.
Oh, that's really refreshing, that no regrets, just everything shapes you and everything you need to
Yeah,
learn. All
yeah,
every lesson you learn is, well, you need to learn it, don't you? So
yeah. You do. And if it keeps, if that lesson keeps showing up, you obviously haven't learnt the lesson, and you need
yes.
to shape up and buckle up. So I'm always very conscious to stop and reflect and go, all right, what's the lesson? What am I missing? Well, go
Oh, well
on.
done. Yeah, because otherwise, if you don't learn it, you're going to get it again, and you don't want that.
No, because it comes back twice fold, threefold. So no, definitely not.
Oh, thank you so much for talking to me. I feel like I should have paid you for this educational
Oh,
chat.
flipping heck, stop that now. Just
Oh,
take a coffee when you turn up Wednesday.
yes, I'll bring something from the bakery.
Sounds good.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. It's been lovely catching up.
That's right. Oh, good stuff. It's good to see you doing this, and
Yeah,
hope you get some other interesting folk on as well.
well, you've been
If you want
fascinating.
any recommendations, I can maybe send a few folk your way as well.
Oh, yes, please. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Cool.
And go and
That's all
get
right.
some tea and have a glass of wine.
I tell you, midweek wine.
Thank you.
All right, take care. See you soon.
Bye. So I hope you enjoyed that. I found it incredibly interesting and inspiring. I will be doing a few more of these, so if you subscribe, then you will be sure to see them. And if you could let me know of any artists you would love me to chat to, give me questions that you want me to ask them. If you want to be chatted to on here, send me a message, let me know your thoughts, and I will see what I can do. So thank you for watching and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.